So there's this language learning technique that is so effective. It can seriously take your pronunciation, your rhythm, and your fluency to a whole other level. But here's the crazy part. Most people have never even heard of it. It's called shadowing. And today we're going to pull it out of the shadows and into the light.
Just imagine this for a second. What if your shadow wasn't just, this silent thing that follows you around? What if it was actually an expert language tutor, one that could mimic a native speaker perfectly and in turn teach you to do the exact same thing? Sounds kind of cool, right? Well, that's the big idea behind the powerful technique we're diving into today.
So, okay, beyond that fun little analogy, what is shadowing, really? How does it actually work?
At its core, it's actually incredibly simple. You listen to a native speaker and you repeat what they say in real time. You want to be as close behind them as you possibly can. You literally become their vocal shadow. You see, you're not just listening and you're not just speaking. You're doing both at the same time, trying to match their every sound, their intonation, their rhythm.
And while it sounds simple, this thing has a serious academic background. This is not some new fad from the internet. The concept's been around for decades. Check out this definition from way back in 1992. It calls it a paced auditory tracking task. And that's really the key. This isn't passive listening. No way. It's an active, pretty intense workout for your brain and your mouth, forcing them to sync up in a brand new language.
All right, now that we've got the basic idea down, let's break it into its two fundamental approaches. You might think repeating is just repeating, but no. Each way you do it has a totally different goal. One is all about the sound, and the other is all about the meaning.
So, over on the left, you've got phonemic shadowing. Here, the time lag is almost zero. You're repeating each individual sound the very instant you hear it. So think about repeating the French word bonjour. You're not thinking of it as a word, but as the distinct sounds bonjour. The goal here is just to nail the accent perfectly. But then, on the right, there's phrase shadowing. With this, you wait a beat. You hear the whole phrase, something like bonjour, comment ça va? You process what it means, and then you repeat it. Here, the goal is all about comprehension and getting that natural conversational flow. So the big question you have to ask yourself is, are you training your mouth or are you training your mind?
But hold on, it gets even better. Because beyond those two main types, shadowing is actually a whole spectrum of different techniques. You should really think of it as a complete toolkit that you can adapt to whatever you need to work on. The easiest way to start is probably with complete shadowing. And it's exactly what it sounds like. You repeat everything, every single word, every cough, every and ah. This really just helps you get used to the raw mechanics of the whole exercise. Then, way on the other end of the spectrum, you've got something much more advanced called interactive shadowing. With this one, you don't just repeat, you actually engage. You shadow a phrase, and then you ask a follow-up question or add your own comment. It turns what could be a passive exercise into a really active, simulated conversation.
This range just shows how incredibly versatile this method is. I mean, you've got everything from mumbling, where you just shadow silently under your breath, to selective shadowing, where you only repeat certain keywords or phrases. See, this isn't a one-size-fits-all thing. It's a customizable system that you can tailor to your level, whether you're a beginner just trying to get the sounds right, or an advanced learner trying to master the flow of a real conversation.
Okay, so we know the what and we know the how. But now let's get to the most important question. Why is this technique so incredibly effective? What is actually happening inside your brain that makes shadowing such a powerhouse for learning? So here's the really cool part. It's about how this physically rewires your brain. See, when you're just passively listening to a language, you're mostly activating one part of your brain, the part that comprehends language. And when you're just trying to speak, you activate another part, your speech production center. What shadowing does is it forces both of those parts to fire at the exact same time, which strengthens the neural highway between them. You are literally building a faster, stronger connection between understanding and speaking. This whole process closes that super frustrating gap between what you know in your head and what you can actually say out loud, which, as you can imagine, gives you this huge, tangible boost in confidence.
So, there you have it. We've gone through the basics, the different styles you can use, and the science behind why it all works. The only thing left to do is to actually put it into practice. Looking at this whole toolkit of techniques, from the super simple to the more complex, it really just leaves us with one final question. Which one are you going to try first?